And we're back at it again with another tips and tricks video. This video will contain 3 essential tips that you need to know before you start your journey on Ranked.
Then you give them the back smack, baby. Woo!
Not only that, but I'll also be diving into overtime a little bit and just explaining how the concept works. Okay, so let's start off with overtime. So overtime, or commonly referred to just as OT, happens when there is essentially a draw at the end of the third loop. So either when both players are on the point at the end or no one is. Usually in a casual game, what would happen is just everything resets and you start the loop again. However, in overtime, you pick up where you last left off. You start off with your clone 1, you go to clone 2, and then clone 3. In this example here, I have cut straight to clone 3 just for illustration purposes. The health packs do not respawn. Overtime will continue until somebody scores. If you were desynced at the end of the third loop, then you come back with a brand new clone, otherwise you pick up where you left off. Same HP, same location. So overtime is a little bit confusing when you start with, but once you go through a couple times, you get the hang of it quite easily. Okay, now that we all know what overtime is, let's get into those tips. So the very first tip that I want to give you guys is a really simple one, and it's basically how to orientate yourself at the start of overtime. Because, well, has this ever happened to you? Okay, overtime. Alright, I gotta get back to my spawn. Oh no. Now, the reason people get confused with this, and it took me a long time to figure this out, is that the map is divided into red and blue.
Blue.
Oh, thanks for that, Boris. So you spawn
Blue.
on... Yes, thank you, Boris. So you spawn on...
Blue.
Alright, come on, Boris. Pack it in. Anyway, so you spawn on either side. However, when you look at the top, at the scoreboard, you are always blue and your opponent is always orange, which means from your opponent's perspective, they are blue and you are orange. And hold on, like that is orange, isn't it? Like it's not red, you know, this is red. That is orange, right? So anyway, hopefully you can see the problem here is that according to you, you are blue, except according to the game, you might actually be spawning on red side. So if you try to use the colours in front of you to decide which way to run, 50% of the time you will run in the direction that you don't intend. Okay, and an easy way to solve this is merely to put a marker on the map. You just place that pin down and then it comes up on your heads up display. And simple as that, problem solved. Another thing that you can do is also just to mark a health pack. You can just place a marker on there, and again that helps orientate yourself so that you know that you're running in the right direction. So definitely use that pin. I probably use it almost every game, and it is just a handy little marker just to place down. So the next tip is going to be helping to control your SMG. So the SMG is the most popular weapon, and with good reason. If you haven't noticed, it has quite a lot of recoil. So if you're shooting non-stop, what you should be doing is actually dragging your mouse down at the same time as well. But let's look at the spray pattern a little bit closer. You can see that it goes up and to the right. Now then, when you're up close, you know, someone's right in front of you, you don't need to worry about this. But the further someone is away, the more that you need to take this into consideration. So the spray pattern goes up and to the right, and so obviously to counter that you need to be pulling it down to start with and then moving your hand to the left. And that will help keep the crosshair as center as possible. And of course this is all while taking into consideration their strafing patterns as well. So, but you know, just keep that in mind while you decide to go full auto on the SMG. So moving on to something even less obvious, and this one is just, how do you know when you're on the point? So when you're alive, you obviously have the indicators up the top of the screen telling you, and the point itself will also change color. But this doesn't happen when you're desynced. And even when you're alive, it's like, oh, hold on, I thought I was on the point here. Okay, so how to tell when you're on the point is actually to look down. So it's not actually about your character model, okay, because sometimes it can look like their foot is actually on the point, but they haven't actually scored. And so what it is it's actually your center crosshair. So where you're aiming, when you look directly down, if your center crosshair is past this little bit here, you're on the point. If it's not, then you're not on the point. It doesn't matter what your character looks like, your crosshair needs to be past this point. It's not this point, it's not that point, it's this point, and then you're on the point. Is that enough points? Do you get my point? So this will help determine if your desync clone is on the point or not, because I'm sure that we've all been in that situation where you're desynced and you're not sure if you're on the point. It's a little bit ambiguous, but using this method here, you know exactly when you're on the point.
No score. New cycle.
So I hope that everybody learned something today, and I'll be seeing you in the quantum arena. See ya!